My name is Dan Harris. I'm a beekeeper. It's early March. As you see, the sun is shining. The bees are just beginning to fly. It's not quite 50 degrees. A little early, a little cool to be opening the hives. I have several, well, I have more than several, I desperately need to get into, but I'm going to let the temperatures come up a little bit this afternoon and I can start getting into that. Today, this morning at least, I am going to do a piece of maintenance that is in dire need, and it's smoker maintenance. Now, a lot of beekeepers use different fuels for their smokers. Around here, pine straw is the fuel of choice. It's available, it does real well. The downside is, you see, there's a lot of creosote. Ordinarily, I don't care, but if you were to look, you'd see that this lid really doesn't go back down on very well and get secure. And it needs to be secure when you're using it. And it's only going to get worse as the season goes on. So what I'm going to do is burn that creosote off. I'll finish scraping it. I won't show you all of it, but I'll show you the basics. And this is what I need to do. Now, if you're not using a creosote-laden fuel, then it's not a big deal. So first things first, remove the bellows. They use, at least this smoker uses some star nuts and a little open-end wrench. You can loosen those guys up. Okay, nuts are all loose. Separates from the bellows. So there we are. Yeah, we're still working. All right, we're separated from the bellows. Now, the next step, if you have a smoker like this, there's usually a pin that's latched in here and is either not removable or not very easily removable without damaging the clip or losing the clip. So you'll want to do what I'm about to do with the lid in place. Now, in my case, years ago, that pin fell out, was lost forever, and so I have this small screw that I put in. This is, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. And it's worked just fine for me. If I was really smart, I'd put a couple nuts on the end of it, lock them together so it doesn't come loose. Periodically, I have to snug it up in the middle of using the smoker. So I go ahead and separate mine. And it also will allow me to show you, I don't know if you can see this, I hope you can. Sun right in my eyes. Okay, this is the lid, the dome, or whatever you want to call it. If you look in here, you'll see a huge accumulation of creosote. Now, if you look down in the body of the smoker, you see hardly any accumulation at all. The idea, or the way this works, if you're using a fuel that's creosote heavy, what winds up happening is as in this case, the pine straw burns, it creates a lot of heat, it volatilizes that creosote, and the creosote travels up. When it hits the dome has cool air around it, and so a lot of it will then begin to come out of its volatile state into a solid state and adhere to that surface. A lot of it goes out the end of the smoker. But the problem is, of course, this thing really accumulates a lot. We accumulate a lot around this edge, but like I say, not so much inside. A lot on the front. This is really more cosmetic once you get below the rim, but it's still cosmetic. So, long and short of it is we're going to try to get rid of all of that creosote, or at least some of it, enough to make that lid sit down on there like it's supposed to, and that'll get us ready for the season. I use a plumber's torch, just a basic plumber's torch with a propane cylinder. I say, there we go. All right, I use a basic plumber's torch with a propane cylinder, as you can see. I'm gonna light that baby. Oh, if I can get to my lighter. And let it burn for a minute. And I'll begin by, and remember, this is going to get hot. So I advise you not to forget that, because you will burn your fingers, really, you know, 3rd degree burns very easily if you touch this after it's been torched. So when I'm finished with this, I'll let it sit for a while. I mean, as in a long while. So it's a little while later. Put everything together. Of course, the bellows are on, and I've put the screw back through the pivot. And I don't know if you can see this or not. I don't know how much shade we're getting in here, but long and short of it is a tremendous amount of creosote I got out of that lid, and including around this edge and this edge. And you may not remember, but before, if I went to close this, I could not. I couldn't even get a bite at all, really. I mean, it just wouldn't seat. So, gone through all this, guess what? All the way, just like it's supposed to be. So, that was the goal. She's ready for another season. I'll be doing it again in next spring, so, you know, here we are. Anyway, I appreciate you all watching.